Welcome back to another exciting chemistry lesson. In this video, we are going to look at some of the most common and useful rules of exponent number. Now, for example, in this case, the first one is anything raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. For example, 10 to the 0 is equal to 1, or 5 to the 0 is equal to 1. Again, anything to the 0 equal to 1, or x to the 0 is equal to 1, or y to the 0 is equal to 1. Anything or any number raised to the 0 is equal to 1. For the next rule, if a numerator moved to the denominator, its sign changed to the opposite. For example, let's look at this. Let's look at this one here. 2 times 10 to the third. See, this is the exponent part, right? This is also equal to 2 times 1 10 to the. This also works the other way around where we move the exponent number from denominator to numerator. For example, if I have 1 over 10 to the third, this is the same thing as 10 to the negative third. And this is very useful when we convert between prefixes. For example, if I have 50 milliliter, right? So we remember that 1 liter is equal times 10 to the third milliliter. Now, what does that tell you? Well, in this case, we have 50 milliliter, just to show it to you. So in this case, we have 50 milliliter time, right? Remember, 1 liter is equal to 10 to the third milliliter. See how this divide? So instead of plug this into a calculator, we can just rewrite it. 50 times 10 to the negative 3 liter. This will make your life a lot easier because now you don't have to worry about doing this multiplication with fraction in the future, right? So that's the beauty behind it. For the next rule, we have multiply two exponents with the same base. We keep the base and add the powers. So what does that really do? So for example, we have 6 times 10 to the negative 10, okay? And that is multiplied to 3 times 10 to the second power. Okay, let's do that. You see this? When we have multiplication and division, we can actually break down into part. See this right here? This is not an exponent number, so we can do this. We can take 6 times 3, okay? And then we can continue multiplying, but in this case, because this is an exponent, 10, and here we have the exponent part. So when we multiply, what do? We just add the exponent. So negative 10 plus 2. What do we get? Well, in this case, 6 times 3 is 18, right? And then here's the base, keep the same. Negative 10 plus 2 is what? Is negative 8. So our answer is 18 times 10 to the negative 8th. You see how I don't have to use a calculator, but I can do this easily by understanding the exponent rule. So keep that in mind. Now let's go to division. When we divide two exponents with the same base, keep the base and subtract the power. The hardest part in chemistry or in any physics class is that you have to realize how to break the part exponent number from the rest of the number. So for example, here we have 3 times 10 to the 8th, okay? And then we are going to divide it by 6 times 10 to the negative 11. How does that work? Well, remember, we have to isolate them and this together. In this case, we have 3 divided by 6 times. And that's the beauty of multiplication. We can break them into part multiplication. So here we have 10. So again, for this case, we subtract the exponent. So the top minus the bottom, okay? So in this case, 8 minus 11. What is that going to be? Well, 3 divided by 6, that is 0.5. Okay, that's easy, isn't it? And then here, 8 minus 11. That's like adding, okay? So 10 to the 19. And that is our answer. 0.5 times 10 to the 19 power. Isn't that nice? Now let's say we have an exponent raised to a power. What do? We multiply them. For example, let's look at this in terms of chemistry. So we have 5 times 10 to the second, and this is to the second again. Now this is basically a common math, right? We take a square all the time of any particular number. So what does that really do? So in this case, we can break it down to 5 to the power times 10 to the second raised to the second. And we know that when we raise to the power, we add them together. So what's 5 times 5? That is 25. Time, what's 10 to the What's 10 to the second power? Well, that's pretty easy. 10 2 times 2. What is that going to do? In this case, this becomes 4. So 2 times 2 is 4. So we have our answer 25 times 10 to the 4 power. And that is how we do power to the power with exponent number. Now let's go to the last rule where the opposite, of course, in this case we take the square root. So the square root thing of square, right, we have to divide by 2. So here's a common one. We always have this 1 times 10 to the negative 10. So what does that really do? So right here we can break it down. 1 to the square root, right, times square root of 10 to the negative 10. So if that's the case, isn't that pretty easy? Anything? Well, in this case, the answer is 1. Okay, and then here we have, well, in this case we divide by 2, so we have 10. What is negative 10 divided by 2? Of course, that's negative 5, so negative 5. And that is our answer right there. So the hardest part when working with exponent number or working with number in chemistry that deal with exponent, we had to break it down to part, because most of them are multiplication. We can break it down multiple part and then simplify them from there. And this will make your math a lot easier in the long term. Okay, especially when working with multiple choice. And as always, if you have any question, remember, take a picture of your work and then put it in your Google Drive and share the link through the forum so we can help you from there. And we'll see you next time on another chemistry video.